So we are still in the January transfer window, but in this series I will be looking at who Manchester United should sign in 2023, which is basically who United should sign in the summer window, because obviously it looks unlikely that United will do anything of substance apart from short-term deals in this January transfer window. But before I go any further, let me tell you why you should consider downloading the OneFootball app, because it's become my all-in-one place for keeping up to date with the latest football news, whilst also being able to follow Manchester United specifically, giving me access to all the latest news, videos and articles. It's also the best place to keep up to date with any live football, as during the World Cup they had a live ticker for any updates on the match, confirmation for the lineups as well as a rating for each player, and also all the team stats you need as well to get a better in-depth view of how the game played out rather than just the goals scored. So if you want to support the channel and think you'd also be interested in looking at the OneFootball app, I'll leave it linked in the description and comments below. So where do United need to be looking to improve? So in general, I do think that every club in the world should be looking to improve their squad, and so it's not like United just need a couple of players here and there and then they'll be challenging for the Premier League and Champions League. It's going to be an ongoing process, and we probably won't see Ten Hag's rebuild fully complete for the next 2 or even 3 seasons. Before this summer transfer window specifically, I think there are 4, maybe even 5 positions that United should be looking to improve. And despite the Glazers being unwilling to spend in January, there is also the likely possibility that United get taken over before the summer comes around. So a few things may change here and there, but I'm going to give United a budget of around £200 million, as I just think even if you are being very conservative, it does look like United are going to spend that sort of money, with Chelsea and Arsenal also spending big recently, and United, even under the ownership of the Glazers, are more than capable of spending around this figure, as we've seen last summer and a few summers before as well. So we'll start off with the most obvious position that needs improving, as with Ronaldo leaving Martial as United's only senior centre forward. They maybe even need 2 centre forwards, with one being more of a squad player, but they definitely need a top level striker to come in to compete with Anthony Martial and preferably upgrade upon him. Ideally, I think United need to be going for the most complete forward possible, a player that can drop off from the forward line, which Anthony Martial is exceptional at doing, but also I think the player needs a degree of versatility and fluidity, able to drop deep when needed to pick up the ball, but also drift out into wide positions to not only receive the ball to feet, but also create space for the attacking players around him like Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes and Antony, by dragging opposition defenders out of the back line, allowing these third man runs into goal scoring positions. Any player brought in, not just a centre forward, needs to be able to function effectively in a high pressing system, as this is obviously a key part of Ten Hag's philosophy. But the key thing that United need to be looking for in any centre forward they bring in is obviously going to be goal scoring ability, and I think this is the most important attribute that Ten Hag needs from a centre forward. They need a player who's not only going to be clinical, providing at least 30 goal contributions in all competitions each season, but also a player that can perform in big games. We've seen the impact that Erling Haaland's had at Manchester City, and how players like Karim Benzema, Robert Lewandowski and Luis Suarez have essentially been the difference when it comes to the big games and the latter stages of competitions for their sides. Now obviously finding essentially a complete forward who's also a clinical elite level goal scorer, who can function in a high pressing system, who's not only available on the market but isn't going to cost over £100 million, and overall just is a viable option for Manchester United, is going to be extremely hard. And so when I analyse all the options in later videos, you'll see it's almost impossible to find the complete package, and prioritising certain attributes that you want in a centre forward is going to be key. So the centre forward position is most likely the first one that every Manchester United fan would think of, but let's look at the other positions I think United need to improve. But before I do come on to that, remember, if you do like these sorts of videos, give it a like, subscribe to the channel and click the bell, and you can also find some of my other recent popular videos, like the video I did on how to make Jadon Sancho great again, talking about the position he could convert to. That video, along with some of my others, will be linked in the description below. The next position that United need to improve, to me at least, is another obvious one. It's in central midfield, with United needing a long-term partner to Casemiro and even an upgrade on Christian Eriksen. Eriksen's been fantastic this season, particularly in possession. His ability to move the attack forward with his incisive and long-range passing has been a major contributor to United's increased defensive output, being a massive upgrade on both McTominay and Fred. However, just being an upgrade on McTominay and Fred is far from what Ten Hag needs in this Manchester United side, and I think ideally Ten Hag needs an upgrade on Christian Eriksen in that deep line playmaker position alongside Casemiro. Eriksen still has a massive role to play in the squad, and I do think he'd be the first player off the bench in most situations to come into that deep central midfield role and offer some added creativity, but I don't think he should be United's starting player in that position. Whilst Eriksen is very good in possession, he obviously has his deficiencies when United don't have the ball from a defensive point of view, and so I think United should be looking to bring in a central midfielder that still offers that ball progression from deep positions via their passing and ball carrying, but also has the physicality, athleticism and defensive ability that Eriksen lacks. If you look at the type of central midfielders, particularly in deeper areas that thrive in this sort of Cruyffian style of play, it's central midfielders who are very good technically in congested areas, have the ability to swivel quickly and drive out of pressure, are very capable of linking play in tight central areas via their short passing, having the ability to play 1-2s and move the ball forward. But they also need to have the ability and vision to split the opposition system by playing an incisive pass into players between the lines, or switch play with a long range pass as well. The obvious players that come to mind are players like Iniesta and Xavi under Pep Guardiola at Barcelona, Xabi Alonso and Thiago Alcantara during Pep's time at Bayern, Pedri for both Xavi's Barcelona side and Luis Enrique's Spain side at the World Cup, and of course Frankie de Jong and Ryan Gravenberch during Ten Hag's time at Ajax. So that's the central midfield and centre forward positions out the way, which I do think should be the priority positions for United. But let's now come on to another important area which I have been talking about for a while as needing upgrading, even before Ten Hag took over in the summer. And that is the goalkeeper position, which I do think is a very nuanced position for Manchester United. I do actually like David De Gea as a goalkeeper. He's a very good shot stopper. He's proved that multiple times throughout this season. However, I do think De Gea's ability to perform sensational saves, which without doubt do save United on many occasions, do actually lead to fans overlooking a lot of his deficiencies. It's no secret that David De Gea isn't what you would describe as a ball-playing keeper, definitely improving from the start of the season when we saw him make a couple of mistakes on the ball, but still not being at the level needed in terms of his ability to break the press via forward incisive passes, which allow United to bypass the opposition pressure or lofted passes over to the fullback. And I think this passing ability from the goalkeeper is crucial to Ten Hag's build-up play, particularly against the best pressing sides. And because of David De Gea's inabilities in this area, which were fully identified at the start of the season, we have seen Ten Hag move away from his full possession orientated build-up, which we did see at Ajax, to a much more pragmatic build-up where United do still try to play out of the back, but if they do come under intense pressure, particularly David De Gea, Ten Hag does seem to have instructed the side to go longer a lot quicker, whereas ideally when Ten Hag has been able to fully implement his system and philosophy on this side, United will have the ability to play out from the back, keeping their passes short and on the floor, even against the most intense pressure. But a lot of the side's ability to do this does actually stem from the goalkeeper, as if you have a goalkeeper who's essentially an outfield player in terms of his forward passing, it gives you numerical superiority in the build-up phase, which gives you a massive advantage in playing out of pressure. With Ten Hag also looking to incorporate a very high and aggressive press, United do need to play a high back line, and whilst De Gea has improved in terms of his willingness to come off his line and make clearances, he's still not at the level of some other goalkeepers on the market. And so this of course inevitably does lead to United not being able to squeeze up as much as they probably would if they had a keeper that was a lot more comfortable in coming further outside of their box. Also, for an elite level keeper, De Gea is also pretty poor when it comes to claiming crosses, which may seem like a factor that can be overlooked for a keeper, but when I release a video analysing the goalkeeper that I would sign for Manchester United, you'll see how important cross stopping as well as sweeping in behind the back line, and of course ball playing ability is to the team as a whole. I will be doing statistical analysis on each option that I suggest, comparing them to David De Gea, so you'll be able to see how his deficiencies compare to other keepers on the market. But I also think the contract status of David De Gea makes it the perfect opportunity for Manchester United to replace him with a keeper who not only fits the system better, but also is of a younger age profile and on significantly lower wages. And this is because David De Gea is currently United's highest earner after Cristiano Ronaldo has left the club, earning $375,000 a week, which is around 19.5 million a year. However, with his contract expiring at the end of the season, this is actually a great opportunity for United to get his wages off of the books without having to go through the long process of finding another club who are going to pay anywhere near his wages. And also, if United did want to keep David De Gea for another season or so, they probably would have to sign him to at least a 2 or maybe 3 year deal, keeping him on those big wages, which potentially further down the line, if United do look to replace David De Gea, which I think is inevitable, will obviously cause a massive issue, as even if you keep him as a second choice keeper, he'll be on 20 million a year, which is just ridiculous. And so even though I do still think that David De Gea can be an elite level keeper and would succeed at most other sides, I just think the timing is right for United to move him on. And so the final priority position for United this summer, in my opinion, is at right back. Aaron Wan-Bissaka has done well since he's come in for Diego Dalot, who has been absent after he came back from the World Cup. And to be honest, Wan-Bissaka has surprised me. He's been quite impressive. I still don't think he's at the level that United need. He's still a bit clunky in possession, doesn't quite have the interplay or the offensive output in the final third to really be able to compete with Diego Dalot for that right back spot. But he has definitely improved in possession, being a lot quicker to release his passes. So I would keep him as the backup to Dalot until the end of the season. But when the summer comes around, United need to be looking for someone to not only compete with Diego Dalot for that position, but potentially even be an upgrade. As I've said in multiple of my recent Manchester United match analysis videos, all of which will be linked in the description, Ten Hag's possession system is very fluid, with individual players taking up a multitude of different positions on the pitch during different phases of play, and the fullback position is no different, with any new fullback brought in needing to have the technical ability to move in field, playing almost as a central midfielder at times, having the close ball control and short passing ability to link play in tight congested central areas, as well as being able to hold his width on the flank and play more as a natural winger, having the dribbling ability to beat players, whilst also being able to provide an offensive threat from crossing positions in the final third. Now defensively, at the top level, you do need fullbacks who are solid and aren't liabilities, and so that means being positionally good around the box, being able to track runners in behind them, having the pace and athleticism alongside the one-on-one defending ability to be able to deal with some of the best wingers in the league. But also ideally, because Ten Hag does like to instruct his fullbacks to push higher up the flank, when United are looking to press aggressively in the opposition's build-up phase, the fullback also needs to be a very good front foot defender, being quick to apply pressure to the opposition player on the flank, whilst also having the reading of the game and the decisiveness to be able to jump ahead, make interceptions, and potentially allow United to win the ball back high up the pitch. And so all in all, the modern day fullback is probably one of the most complete out of all the positions on the pitch. And so finding a player who excels in all of these different areas is incredibly hard. However, I do think there are a few of these fullbacks on the market, and so you can find out who they are as we come to the later episodes in this series. So centre forward, central midfield, right back and goalkeeper are my 4 priority positions for United. However, there are of course some non-priority positions that I do think United should be looking at, ideally in the summer, but if that's not possible then January 2024, or more likely the summer transfer window in 2024. And those positions are as a third choice centre back, providing cover for Rafael Varane alongside Lisandro Martinez, whilst also having the potential to be a long-term successor to the Real Madrid man. At the moment, I do think Lindelof is an adequate option in that role, though I do think he can be improved. And alongside the centre-back position, United just need to be bolstering their squad depth in general, likely bringing in another central midfielder on top of the one I've already specified, which will enable Ten Hag to shift on players like Ten Hag and Fred, who long-term shouldn't be at Manchester United. And what this sort of transfer policy will do is massively improve United's squad as a whole over the next few seasons. If you just think back to how good Manchester City's squad depth has been over the past 3 to 5 seasons, and that is a standard that United need to be trying to achieve. So over the next few episodes in this series, I'll be breaking down each position individually, providing and analysing a few different options, and ultimately coming to a conclusion on who would be my main priority in each of those positions. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you do get notified when those videos come out. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and check out some of my other videos in the description. Tell me if you agree with what I've said on each position, and which positions would you look to improve in the comments section below, and you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more content as well.